I was in law enforcement for about 12 years, or early on, right after I got out of high school. And I enforced cannabis laws just the same as all the other police officers out there. But I think, like many officers feel these days, my heart just wasn't in it. You've got this person in custody, and you're taking them in, and you're just like, what's wrong with this guy? There's no reason to be treating him this way. I actually joined NORML when I was an active police officer. I pretty much had to put a paper bag on my head when I went down to the post office to mail off the application. But I actually wanted to see the laws changed then, and that was really my quiet protest, I guess, the best I could do with the situation I found myself in. I enjoyed being a law enforcement officer, but that's one part of my job that I just really didn't like. Profiling isn't illegal, and I don't know that I don't really know that profiling would be the best way to describe it, because profiling, you would say, okay, we're going to stop all cars that meet this criteria. I think they just look at the car and in a totality of circumstances decide whether or not they want to stop it or not. I think the way people look at the officer when they go by may very well trigger their suspicions, or don't look at the officer when they go by. Frankly, whenever I'm passing a trooper, especially a trooper, even if I don't need to, I start picking my nose, because that indicates to him I'm not the least bit concerned, with him being there. When the police stop somebody, it's all videotaped, and I think the biggest mistake people make is it's almost as though they've spent this time driving down the highway worried they're going to get stopped, and they've almost been rehearsing in their mind what they're going to say to the police, when they're completely missing the point. Yeah, they get out talking like a tree full of parrots, and that's the first dead giveaway to the police officer that you're up to something. And if you're coming south on 287 out of Colorado, that something doesn't take a huge amount of imagination to know that they're on the right track. I mean, people just ride up and tell them, when really the best thing to do when you get stopped by the police is engage in no small talk at all. Hand them the driver's license, hand them your registration, and then of course don't answer any questions about your day. The police are not entitled to know any more than what's on that driver's license when they pull you over. Where you're going, where you're coming from, that's none of their business. And I honestly, if they stop me, if they say, "Sir, where are you coming from?" I'll point back over my shoulder and say, "That way." And if they ask where I'm going, I'll point forward and say, "I'm going that way." And some of them will actually crack a smile, because they know I'm wise to what they're doing, and they'll stop with the interdiction questions. But any questions geared at, like, where have you been, where are you coming from, where'd you stay last night, and they'll mix these in with very, just small talk questions. But they're definitely going down the list and asking them and camouflaging them in just general small talk. Don't discuss your day. That's the biggest mistake that you can make, and you're not under any obligation to do so. A lot of cops also will start this business of, well, you look nervous. What's wrong? Why are you nervous? They don't know you. How do they know what you look like when you're nervous? Actually, what they're doing, all this is being videotaped when they stop you, and they're just basically hamming it up for the camera. They're saying on camera, you look nervous. Therefore, when a jury sees the tape later, the jury's going to believe that you appeared nervous, especially when you don't deny it. So when they start with this, you look nervous. Why do you look nervous? You just have to almost act like that statement is ridiculous. Well, in drug interdiction activities, the police really, they're attracted to large vehicles that they think would carry a large payload, of course, if you're on a known drug smuggling route. But really anything, rental cars, they're very tempted to stop a car that appears to be a rental car. They more often than not will stop a car with more than one person in it. That gives them a pretty good indication, that this person may be traveling, and it's not just a local resident in the area on their way to work. And then of course the reasons that they stop people for are just only limited by their imagination. I've seen them stop people for following too closely on a divided interstate where, you know, arguably the person wasn't. Driving in the passing lane is one of their favorites. Failure to signal, you know, within 100 feet of making a turn is another. License plate lights out, any kind of lights out. Obstructed license plates, and of course we all know why they don't want you obstructing your license plate. So if they want to find a reason, generally they don't have to follow you very long to do it. Speeding, you were going 2 miles an hour over the speed limit. Well, how do you argue with that? You know, I mean, you could be looking right at your speedometer, and your speedometer could be off 2 miles an hour, and they know this. You know, there once was a time when the police didn't stop you for speeding unless you really were speeding. Now they're just using it all as a subterfuge to pull people over. And then, of course, once they get you pulled over, then they start looking for all these opportunities to exploit. They're looking in the car, you know, they're looking for air fresheners, they're looking for tools to indicate that you've been dismantling the interior of the car. They're looking for food wrappers to indicate, you know, what they call hard travel. You know, somebody's just stopped at a drive-through, grabbed food, and kept on going. These kinds of things. And then I think they have a lot of intelligence information also at their disposal as to what highways you've traveled and so on through the use of license plate readers prior to them stopping you. They can punch in that license plate and see, you know, a printout of every camera that you've triggered. And of course, you know, if they trace you all the way back to Humboldt County, California, I'm sure they're going to have a lot of questions for you.